So that's how cash was collected from the credit sales. That's how cash was collected from the credit sales. So after now we have done debtors collection schedule, we shall now prepare the cash budget. That was just a working. That was simply a working. So let us now prepare the cash budget. Prepare the cash budget. So we should now prepare the cash budget. So the cash budget is for how many months? Three months starting from, because it ends in which month? So if it ends in December and it is 3 months, so we start from which month? We start from October. So it is 3 months, October, November, and December. So we start from October, then also December, like that. So we come up with the actual cash inflows. We start off with the cash inflows. The cash inflows. So among the cash inflows, so if the questioner has cash sales, we normally start with the cash sales. But this question had no cash sales. It had no cash sales. Then now cash from the debtors. Cash from the debtors. This is now the credit sales. Cash from the debtors. So we have just calculated the figures we have added. The one for October is how much? 59 points. The one for November? 64. The one for December? 79.1. So that is now how cash was collected from the credit sales. Then also we normally have sale of the fixed assets. Sale of the fixed assets. But this one, it was not there. But just in case you get any question that has those items, remember to include them. Also, the loan or cash from the debtors. Loan or debtors. The loan or debtors. You also include it. So if you borrowed money, it will appear as a cash inflow. So you remember this question, it had no those figures. So those are the key 4 items that normally appear on the side of the cash inflows in the cash budget. So when we add this, will now give you the total cash inflows. Normally give you the total cash inflows. So this will just remain 59.4 million. This other one should be which figure? 64.3 million. Then December should be 79.1 million. So those are the cash inflows. Now we go to the cash outflows. We now also go to the cash outflows. Cash outflows. So among the cash outflows, we start with the purchases. We start off with purchases. So purchases are the same as your creditors in case you are able to buy on credit. Where they say that raw material purchases, they gave you September, October, November, and December. Then they have said that the farm plans to pay its creditors in full in the month following that of what? Purchases. So just wait. All those questions people are asking, I will answer them. Wherever further the procedure I'm giving you, I have read the question, I know where I will put it. There is a place I will put it to make it easier for you to understand than when I put it up there. If I put it up there, you'll get confused. But I know where I will finalize that opening balance. So out of the cash outflows, we start the raw material purchases. So raw material purchases, those are the same as your creditors, but we put there as the purchases. We put there as the purchases. So those purchases, they are saying they pay after 1 month. You see, under that, farms plans to pay its creditors in full, month following that of what? Purchases. So that means the one for September is what we shall pay in October. So this one will be 20. The one we pay in October is the purchases of September. Then the one we pay in November is the one for October. The one we pay in November is the one for October. The one we pay in December is the one for November, because we pay after 1 month. We pay afterwards. So you record on the exact date you paid. That's what we mean by the cash budget, or you record on the exact date that you received. Yeah. So they have said that those payments, they pay in the following month. So the one for September, you pay it in October. The one in October, you pay it in the November. The one for November is what we go to when? December. So this one will also be 40 minutes. So that's how the payment was done. We record the actual payment date. So the next one is meant to be the wages and the salaries. The next one is meant to be the wages and the salaries. For the wages and the salaries, they said in the additional information note number 1. You see additional information note 1. All employees are paid in the month in which the wages and salary is out. So that one, there is no adjustment. How much is the salary for October? So this one will be 15. Then the next one will be 17. The next one is supposed to be 13. That one was paid in the exact month. The next transaction, you got the note number 2. Note 2, they said that rent of 10 million for each quarter is paid in March, June, September, and when? December. So the next item is rent. So we only record what is within our budget period. So that month of March is not in the budget period. June is not there, September is not there. The only thing that is there is when? December. So this one you put there a dash like that. Then in December, you record how much? 10 million. You record 10 million for that. The next item there will be note number 3. Cash or overheads. There is also the overheads. The next one is meant to be overheads. So for the overheads, you can see it is 2 million per month, which is paid in the same month unless they dispute that. But they have said, so this one will be 2 million, also 2 million like that. That is now for the overheads. The next one you can see in the note number 4. Note 4, they say that a new plant due for delivery in September will be paid in November at a cost of how much? Yeah, so we also have the cost of the plant, cost of the plant. So that amount is meant to be 25 million and it will be paid in November. 25 million, it will be paid in November. So there is no other payment from that question. So I would like you, first of all, subtract this outflow from the inflows. Subtract those outflows from the inflows. I would like you to subtract those outflows from the inflows. So subtract the outflows from the inflows so that you give me the net cash inflows. Get those outflows, subtract them from the inflows so that we come up with the net cash inflows. So that we get the net cash inflows. Or subtract the outflows from the inflows so that we get the net cash inflows. So that we get the net cash inflows. So that we get the net cash inflows. Subtract the outflows from the inflows to give me the net cash inflows. So how much do we get in October? 22.4. So this is 22.4. The one for November is negative. So negative 19.7. The one for December is what? So we have 14.1. So there is the opening balance that was given in the last note. So there is the opening balance. Opening balance that was there in the last note. How much is there in the bank? In the note number 5. Note 5 is on 1st of October, the firm plans to have 10 million in the bank. So this one will be 10 million. So when you add the 10 million on that figure, you now get the closing balance. You now get the closing balance. So that closing balance will give us how much? 32.4 million. So this closing balance for October will be now the opening for November. So you bring it there. Like that. So it becomes easier that way. Rather than someone was asking about the opening, but if you put it up there, these issues will complicate you. So it is better you finish with it so that you get those closing balances as required. It becomes easier this way. So how much is it for November? This is 12.7. Then the closing balance for November is the opening. So we come up to that same procedure so that you get now the closing balance. So it is going to be how much? 26.8. So that is the easiest way how to treat that opening balance. If I start with it, remember adding all of them, you can get confused, even getting those balances. But once you have done that, it becomes now easier to present it. So there is no more other question in that past paper in relation to the budget. That is now the small format. I can be able to present it for the budget. So that is now the conclusion of the topic of financial planning. That's now the conclusion. There were 2 items, the percentage of sales method and the cash budget. So now we have dealt with those 2 items. So now I want us to start a new topic. A new topic in your class group, there are some notes about valuation of securities and the business. That's now our new topic. Let us now start our new topic as valuation of securities and business. We now look at the valuation of the securities and the business. Now what the valuation of the securities and the business. So I had sent some notes to the class group. I've sent some notes to the class group. So I hope you have seen those notes. Umeziona. Online, confirm whether you have seen the notes on the valuation of securities and business. Confirm. In case it is not there, we resend again. They were sent last week. Yeah, so let us go through that part of the notes, which is meant to be valuation of the securities and business. Valuation of the securities and the business. So I've given you the meaning of valuation. I've given you the meaning of valuation. When you check through that part, they are simply saying it is the process of determining the worth of the security or the business. So you will be able to go through that part, because we have also mentioned what we mean by the theoretical value of the security. That is the meaning of the value of the share. So when you go through, I've indicated to you when the share is undervalued, when it is overvalued, and also when it is correctly valued. So you check those terms. So what I will advise you, there are some questions in your past papers I would like you to check. There are some questions in your past papers I would like you to check. One of the questions is what is there? One of the questions on the, first of all, advising you on the theory part. On the theory part. So the first one was meant to be in the sitting of April 2022. I want you to check April 2022. There is a question in the sitting of April 2022. There is a question number 1, part C. There is a question number 1, part C. So that question 1, part C, for the sitting of April 2022, they were asking you to explain 3 forms of market information efficiency. 3 forms of the market efficiency. So those forms of the market efficiency, I would like you to go to the page 3. When you go to page 3, I've been able to indicate for you the forms of the market efficiency. I've been able to indicate for you the forms of the market efficiency. Are you able to see? First, I've given you those other types of market efficiency, but the ones they required is on page 3. Are you able to see after the pricing efficiency? After the pricing efficiency on that page 3, Roman letter 1, are you able to see the strong form of the market efficiency? Then Roman letter 2 is semi-strong form of the market efficiency. Roman letter 3 is the weak form of the market efficiency. So that's now the requirement of that portion, whereby the strong form of the market occurs when the security prices reflect the past, that is historical, present, and future or confidential information. That's what we mean by the strong form of the market efficiency. But semi-strong form of the market efficiency, it occurs when the security prices reflect only the past and what? And the present. So that's now the semi-strong. But the weak form, it normally records only the past information. So that is what was required on that Roman letter 3 of the question. They wanted you to explain the 3 forms of the market efficiency. But you could also still, because they had said that that was explained by Eugene Farms. So if you go by Eugene Farms, there are also those other market efficiency I've already explained, starting from page 2. When you go to page 2, We have given there about the types of the market efficiency. You can see allocative efficiency. Yeah, but the one of Eugene are the ones we have seen on the other side. So that is now one of the questions I wanted you to check. The other question, go to May 2021. I also like you to go to May 2021. Also go to May 2021. Also like you to go to May 2021. So if you can see May 2021, if you can see May 2021, May 2021, May 2021, there is a question number 1, part C. There is a question number 1, part C. Are you able to see question 1, part C, Roman letter 1? Roman letter 1, they were asking you describe 4 reasons of valuing the financial assets. Financial assets are the securities. Financial assets are the securities. So that is the question for May 2021, question 1, part C, Roman letter 1. So those reasons I've given you on the first page. Reasons for valuing of the securities. Reasons for valuing of the securities. So those are, securities are the financial assets. Securities are what they are referring to as the financial assets. So when you go through that part, you should be able to get that concept. The other question I would like you to go through is September 2021. September 2021, question number 4, part A. September 2021, there is a question number 4, part A. September 2021, there is a question number 4, part A. So that question 4, part A for September 2021. September 2021, question number 4, part A. Summarize 5 features of the efficient market hypothesis. So it is still on page 2. When you go to page 2, are you able to see the efficient market hypothesis? Yeah, so in that efficient market hypothesis, that they have said that it states that information, whether good or bad, once released to the market, it is quickly reflected in the share securities or the security prices. So that's what we mean by efficient market hypothesis. So features, when you continue towards the end, it said an efficient capital market has the following characteristics. So those characteristics is what is the same as the features. Those characteristics is what they are asking you as the features. So they wanted you to give them 5 of them. You see the 5 of them. So there are how many? There are 6. So information, whether good or bad, it is quickly reflected in the security prices. So that is how you read through that part. Then the other question is now May 2017, question 5, part B. I would also like you to go to May 2017, question number 5, part B. So go to May 2017. There is a question number 5, part B. I would like you to go to May 2017, question number 5, part B. So when you check through May 2017, May 2017, May 2017, there is a question number 5, part B. May 2017, question number 5, part B, where they ask you to summarize. Are you able to see part? Summarize 4 assumptions of the efficient market hypothesis. Those assumptions are the same as the features that we have seen there. The assumptions are the same as the features. that has been discussed. Then the other part, also go to November 2015, question 1, part B. November 2015, there is a question number 1, part B, September 2015. November 2015, question 1, part B. So, November 2015, question 1, part B. November 2015, question 1, part B, where they say that explain the following theories in relation to valuation of the financial assets. Mine's on page 73. When you check on page 73, you'll get that question 1, part B. Explain the following theories in relation to valuation of the financial assets. In relation to the valuation of the financial assets. So the first one is which theory? Fundamental theory. So when you go to page 1, I've given you the theories of valuation. There are basically 3 theories of valuation. Number 1 is the fundamental theory. So fundamental theory of valuation, this theory states that historical value or intrinsic value of the security is equal to present value of expected future benefits to be realized from the security. The future benefits to be realized from the security will either be in the form of dividend or interest, depending on the type of the security. That's now the fundamental theory. The other one is which theory? Yeah, so the other one is the random walk. Random walk is number C. You see the random walk theory? So this theory is based on the importance of the information in the evaluation of security. It states that security price will behave in a random manner, depending on information that has been released in the market. So you read through that handout. You read through the handout. It will be able to assist you when it comes to the theory part. So what I want us now to look at, what I want us now to have, so we can go to our books. So the topic we have said it is valuation of securities and business. Our topic is valuation of the security and business. So let us start with the valuation of the securities. So in your books, you write the topic as valuation of securities and business. Valuation of the securities and the business. Then we now narrow down as valuation of the securities, as valuation of the securities. So we now start with valuation of the securities, valuation of the securities. So first we write that securities are the financial assets. Securities are the financial assets of the business enterprise. Securities are the financial assets of the business enterprise, They are classified into 2 categories. 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 So number 1 would be valuation of the variable return securities. Number 1 would be valuation of the variable return securities. Valuation of the variable return securities. Number 2 is supposed to be valuation of the fixed return securities. Valuation of the fixed return securities. So let us start with valuation of the variable return securities. You can start off with the valuation of the variable return securities. Valuation of the variable return securities. So under that, we note that these are securities. These are securities whose returns keeps on changing. These are securities whose returns keeps on changing. whose returns keeps on changing depending on the performance of the company. It keeps on changing depending on the performance of the company. It keeps on changing depending on the performance of the company. E.g., the ordinary shares. E.g., the ordinary shares. The ordinary shares. So let us have a subtopic as valuation of the ordinary shares. We can now have a subtopic as valuation of the ordinary shares. Valuation of the ordinary shares. So there is something in the handout that I've given you. I would like you to go to the handout that I've given you. I want you to go to the handout that I've given you. So there is something on page 9. Go to page 9. Go to page 9. Page 9. They have given you dividend yield or Gordon valuation model. You see that? Yeah. So when it comes to the ordinary shares, we are going to use that dividend yield or Gordon valuation model. So when you check through that model, they have said that this method uses the fundamental theory in the valuation of what? Ordinary shares. Then in this case, intrinsic or theoretical value of the ordinary share is equal to the present value of all expected future benefits to being realized from the ordinary shares. So this method is usually used by investors who are interested in what? In dividend, because they cannot influence the management and control during the annual general meeting. For the purpose of valuing the ordinary shares, Gordon classified the ordinary shares into what? 3 categories as shown in the diagram below. So are you able to see non-constant dividend growth rate, constant and zero dividend? So that's now where we are. So in your books, you have written valuation of the ordinary shares. So put there in brackets, dividend yield or Gordon valuation model. Dividend yield or the Gordon valuation model. So it is the dividend yield or the Gordon valuation model. That is the model we normally use to value the ordinary shares. So for the notes part, you will read that page 9. You see what I've indicated there on page 9. So let us now write something on that model. We can write that. We can now write that ordinary shares are variable return securities. Ordinary shares are the variable return securities. Variable return securities and are classified into 3 categories. For the purpose of valuation, they are classified into 3 categories. For the purpose of valuation, they are classified into 3 categories for the purpose of valuation. So we start with the Roman letter 1. Roman letter 1 is constant dividend growth rate, ordinary shares. Constant dividend growth rate, ordinary shares. So you see how it is indicated in the diagram, the one for the constant. Are you able to see constant dividend growth rate, ordinary shares? It is climbing like a linear line. Then B, or Roman letter 2 will be non-constant dividend growth rate, ordinary share. Non-constant dividend growth rate, ordinary share. Can you see also in the diagram, the one for the non-constant, it is like a zigzag. Then finally, the last one, Roman letter 3, is the zero dividend growth rate, ordinary share. Are you able to see the zero dividend growth rate ordinary share? It is fixed, so it does not change. So let us start with valuation. Let us start with the constant dividend growth rate ordinary shares. Let us now start with constant dividend growth rate ordinary shares. Constant dividend growth rate ordinary shares. We start off with the constant dividend growth rate ordinary shares. So when it comes to the constant dividend growth rate ordinary shares, we summarize that the value of the security, will be equal to, the value of the security will be equal to present value, will be equal to present value of all the future benefits, will be equal to the present value of all the future benefits to be realized from the security, will be equal to the present value of all the future benefits to be realized from the security, to be realized from the security, and its value will be expressed as follows. 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 Its value will be expressed as follows. So we start, so the value for the share is the same as PO, will be equal to DO, 1 plus G, divided by KE minus G. So when you want to get the value of the share, so I'll be explaining what each one of them stands for, the same as P1. Minus G. So where PO is the current market value of the share, PO is the current market value of the share, PO is the current market value of the share. Then DO is the last dividend per share paid. DO is the last dividend per share paid. DO is the last dividend per share paid. The last dividend per share paid. D1 is the next dividend per share to be paid. D1 is the next dividend per share to be paid. D1 is the next dividend per share to be paid. Then G is the constant growth rate. G is the constant growth rate. G is the constant growth rate. Then KE, that KE is the cost of the ordinary share. KE is the cost of the ordinary share. So the KE is meant to be the cost of the ordinary share. Then another paragraph is that there are normally two methods of computing. There are normally two methods of computing. There are normally two methods of computing the constant growth rate. There are normally two methods of computing the constant growth rate as follows. The constant growth rate as follows. The constant growth rate as follows. Constant growth rate as follows. So we start with A. A is the compounding. A is the compounding method. A will be the compound method. So A should be the compounding method. So under that A as the compounding method, we shall summarize that. Under this method, the constant growth rate. Under this method, the constant growth rate. Under this method, the constant growth rate. The constant growth rate is computed. The constant growth rate is computed by comparing dividend per share between two periods. It is computed by comparing the dividend per share between two periods. By comparing the dividend per share between two periods, and it will be expressed as follows. By comparing the dividend per share between two periods, and it will be expressed as follows. It will be expressed as follows. So G is supposed to be equal to, so dn divided by do. So that formula G should be equal to n. So dn divided by do, then minus 1. So I'll be explaining that part when we do a question. Just have it like that. When we do a question, now we should be able to explain. The number 2 or B will be retention ratio method. The method number 2 will be the retention ratio method. The method number 2 will be retention ratio method. So for the retention ratio method, you summarize that under this method, the constant growth rate. Under this method, the constant growth rate will be calculated as follows. Under this method, the constant growth rate will be calculated as follows. The constant growth rate will be calculated as follows. So G will be equal to R, then multiplied by. So G will be equal to R multiplied by. So the other one is return on equity. So first you write the formula, then I will explain what each one of them stands for. So where R is the retention ratio of the profits. R is the retention ratio of the profits. Where R is retention ratio of the profits. Then this one is return on equity. This other one is the return on equity. The return on equity. So I will be using questions to demonstrate that. I will be applying questions so that we can now demonstrate that part. So let us get some questions in our past papers. Let us now get some questions in our past papers. So we now get some questions in the past papers. So the first question I want us to start with is November 2018. So November 2018, question number 2, part C. November 2018. There is a question number 2, part C. November 2018, question number 2, part C. We go to page 41, we'll get that question number 2, part C. So the question reads that, the earning per share and the dividend per share, the earning per share and the dividend per share, the earning per share and the dividend per share data for Maraba Limited. So we go to page 41, that's where the question is, question 2, part C. So over the last 5 years are provided below. Over the last 5 years are provided below. So they gave you the year 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. Also, the question has given you the dividend per share and the earning per share. Then they have said that additional information. A prospective investor is considering buying the shares of the company, which are currently selling at 55 each, which are currently selling at 55 each at the Securities Exchange. Note number 2, the investor's required rate of return is 20%. So now required, advise the investor on whether to buy the shares of Maraba Limited using the Cordon model. So Cordon model is the formula I've given you how to get the value of the share. So Cordon model, this is the formula of calculating the value of the share according to the Cordon model. The one with the constant dividend growth rate. The one with the constant. This is our Cordon model. So all other information is provided except G. So G has not been given. So to calculate G, I will use the compounding method. To get that value for G, we use the compounding method. When we are applying the compounding method, when we are using the compounding method, we have said that G is supposed to be given by N. So Dn divided by Do, then we subtract 1. So what you do, I would like you to go to the question. Go to the question, you see 2013, name it as Do. Yeah, name it from the past paper perspective. We go to the past paper, 2013 indicated as Do. 2014 indicated as D1. 2015, D2. 2016 will be D3. 2017 will be D4. So which means N is 4. You see that point? The first one is always period 0. I hope you will note that. The first one is always period 0. So as per that, it means that N is 4. So our G should be equal to 4. Then D4 divided by D4. Then we minus 1 like that. So it is going to be 4. So D4 is your dividend per share in the year 2017. According to the way you have named it. D4 is the dividend per share in the year 2017. How much is the dividend per share in the year 2017? How much is the dividend per share in the year 2017? So it is 1.80. So divide by DO. DO is the dividend per share in the year 2013. How much is it? It is 1.0. Then you minus that. So I want you to calculate that figure. So compute that figure. Then niambie inakuja ngapi? So compute that one. Then tell me it is giving you what percent. get the figure, then also express it as a percentage. Multiplied by 100 and see it will give you what percentage. Anyone who has calculated, you let me know the figure that you have gotten. You are getting which figure? Is it giving any value? So online, I've been given 15.8. Others, you are getting which figure? Others are getting which value? Yeah, most of them are saying it is 15.8. Are we all getting 15.8? So I assume everyone is getting 15.8 because no one is giving me another option. No one is giving me another option. Are you comfortable with 15.8? Maybe I can ask from that point. Are you all able to see how to get the 15.8? So should I assume you are comfortable with proceed? If you don't say your problem, I may not understand what you are doing. So me, I'll just move on. Only one person is saying clarification. The rest, I hope you are okay. I will only clarify to the person who has said you need some assistance. Wale mmenyamaza, you deal with your own problem. If you are not getting the figure, I will only assist the person who is saying no. Yeah, so if you don't get the correct figure, you should say it out. If you say it out, I will know the problem and I will know how to handle it. But if you keep quiet, I will only do it for the rest of the class. So I have only seen 2 people who require some assistance. The rest, what figures are you getting? You clarify to me. I will take time on it because if you don't get that figure correct, those 8 marks are gone out of pattern. They are supposed to give you 8 marks. And starting from that point, if you don't get that figure correct, then you will get a 0 mark on that question. So this part, you can also work it this way. You can take 1.80 divided by 1.0 like that. Raise the power of 1 over 4, then subtract 1 like that. If you don't want to use the root, because I know that's where the problem is, use this format. Use this format, whereby take 1.8 divided by 1.0. Get the answer for that. Once you get that answer on your calculator, you have this sign. You remember this sign on your calculator. So press that sign, then open the brackets like that. 1 divided by 4, close the brackets again, and get the answer for that. Once you have gotten the answer for that, subtract 1 and see the figure you will get. When you subtract 1, then express that figure as a percentage. So what are we coming up with? Those who have a problem with the square root, I've given you an alternative because all of you have different calculators, which I may not understand what root you have on that portion. So, are you okay with this particular one? Are you getting 15.8 when you express it as a percentage? So we proceed. That is now our G. G is going to be 15.8%. G is 15.8%. So once we have done that, we want to get the value of the share. I would like us now to get the value of the share. So to get the value of the share, we have said that PO is supposed to be equal to DO divided plus 1 in the bracket of 1 plus G divided by KE minus what? G. Then I have specified in the notes. What do we mean by DO in the notes that you have just written in your books? DO is supposed to represent what? DO is the last dividend that was paid. D1 is what? Next dividend to be paid. So you also get keen note of that. You should also take keen note of that because my DO here is not the same as DO that you let me have put you. I hope we get to know that. My DO, this one, is the last dividend that was paid. Last dividend that was paid in that question is 2017. The last dividend that was paid, because that pattern was for the last 5 years. That pattern was for the last 5 years. So that means that your DO 2017, like that. And the D1 2018. D1 2018. So I hope you get that point because it will confuse you if you don't get it right away from here. Is it clear to everyone at that point? According to this formula, D1 is the next dividend you will pay. DO is the last dividend that was paid. As per the question, they said that over the last 5 years, the information is provided below. So over the last 5 years, the last year is 2017. That's why my DO will be the dividend for the year 2017. My D1 will be the dividend per share in the year 2018. So do we agree on that point? Those who are online, we agree on that point. We get that part. So going forward, when it comes to G, calculating G, you use the past. But to get the value, we use the future. So using the future, our DO will be the last dividend that was paid. Now for this question is 2017. So we can now answer the question. So our dividends in the year 2017 was given as 1.80. 1.80, then 1 plus G. G is what you have just calculated. You say it was 15.8. So which is the same as 0.158, like that. We divide by KE. KE is the cost of capital. When you go to the note number 2, note 2, the question gave you, investors require rate of return is what percent? 20%. So 20% is the same as 0.2. Then you subtract G, which is 0.158. So get that value. So that is now what should be the value of that share. That is what will be the value of that particular share. That is what will give you the value of that share. That is now what will give you the value of that particular share. So that value is coming to how much? Sorry? 49.63. So the question was asking you, advise the investor on whether to buy the share using the Gordon model. So this is the theoretical value of the share. But in the note number 1, you can see note 1. Prospective investor is considering buying the share of the company which are currently selling at how much? Yeah, so current market price per share is what? 55. When you go to buy that share, you are going to pay 55. But the true value of the share is how much? 49. So the advice is that you should not buy the share because the share is overvalued by the market forces. You should not buy the share because the share is overvalued by the market forces. We should not buy the share because it is overvalued by the market forces. The share is overvalued by the market forces. Remember, when you buy it, you will pay 55 shillings, but the true value of the share is how much? Is 49.63. But if it were less, then you buy. If you sell, you get a gain. But this one, if you buy it at that price of 55, then you see the true value of the share is going to be 69. So you may not get the best out of it. So that is now how you are to evaluate that question. The next question we need to go to now is November. Yeah, I have given the advice. I hope those who are online have seen. So for you to get those 8 marks, that was the concept. So the next question should be November 2019, question number 3, part C. November 2019, question 3, part C. But given the time, I will not be able to finish that question. Given the time, I will not be able to finish the question. So I will leave it at that point. I leave it at that point. I will leave it at that point. So that when we meet now in our next class, remember to remind me, we start on that question. Remember to remind me, we start on that question. So we can stop there for today. We should be able to stop there for today.